You need to move now! This seat is for first-class passengers!
The airport was busy that morning. Boarding had already started. Passengers in tailored suits, designer handbags, polished shoes, expensive watches. First class filled with quiet confidence. And then, an elderly woman walked slowly down the aisle. Simple cardigan, worn shoes, a small carry-on she struggled to lift. She counted the seats carefully. 1A, 1B. She stopped at 2A, first class. She looked at her boarding pass again. Then slowly, carefully, she sat down. Moments later, a sharply dressed woman froze in the aisle. She stared. "That's my seat." The elderly woman looked up, startled. "No, I think this is mine." The flight attendant hurried over. "What seems to be the issue?" The younger woman pointed without hesitation. "She's sitting in first class. That's my seat. I paid $4,000 for this seat." The attendant forced a tight smile. "Ma'am, may I see your boarding pass?" The old woman's hands trembled as she handed it over. The attendant looked at it. Her expression shifted. "Ma'am, this seat is reserved for first-class passengers." The old woman blinked. "Yes, that's what they printed." A businessman nearby muttered loudly, "This is ridiculous." The attendant lowered her voice, but her tone hardened. "You'll need to move to economy immediately." The old woman swallowed. "I paid for this. My grandson booked it for me." The younger passenger let out a dry laugh. "This is embarrassing." Heads turned, phones subtly lifted. The attendant's patience snapped. Her voice rose, sharp and cutting. "Ma'am, you need to move now. This seat is for first-class passengers." The entire cabin fell silent. The old woman slowly stood up. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. "I've never flown before," she whispered. No one moved. Some looked away. Others watched. The attendant reached for her bag. And that's when a calm voice came from behind. "Is there a problem here?" The captain stood in the aisle, full uniform, command in his presence. The attendant straightened. "Yes, sir. She's in a first-class seat." The captain took the boarding pass. He studied it. Then he looked at her, really looked at her. His face changed. "Mrs. Eleanor Hayes?" The woman nodded slowly. "Yes." The captain removed his hat, smiled, and his voice softened. "Welcome aboard." Confusion spread through the cabin. The attendant blinked. "Sir?" The captain turned to face the passengers. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we have someone very special flying with us." The old woman looked overwhelmed. She worked 42 years as a school cafeteria cook. Passengers shifted in their seats. She fed thousands of children who couldn't afford lunch. The cabin grew quiet. One of those children was me. The silence deepened. The flight attendant stepped back. The younger passenger's face drained of color. The captain continued, his voice thick with emotion. "When my mother passed away, she packed extra food in my bag every day." The old woman covered her mouth. "She told me, 'You're going to be somebody one day.'" He paused. "Today, I'm flying this aircraft because of her." You could hear breathing in the cabin. "I personally requested the airline upgrade her seat without her knowing." Gasps echoed softly. Applause began, then grew louder, real, sincere. The flight attendant's voice trembled. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but the moment had already passed her." The captain gently guided Mrs. Hayes back to 2A. He lifted her bag himself and placed it carefully overhead. Then he leaned closer and said quietly, "You deserve first class." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I only packed sandwiches," she whispered. He smiled. "You packed futures." Mid-flight, the captain made another announcement. "This journey is dedicated to the invisible heroes who shape lives without recognition." Passengers wiped their eyes. Some stood after landing just to thank her. Even the sharply dressed woman approached quietly. "I judged you," she admitted. Mrs. Hayes smiled gently. "We never know who's watching." But the story didn't end there. After landing, the airline reviewed the incident. Multiple passengers had recorded the way the elderly woman was treated. By the end of that day, the flight attendant was dismissed for misconduct and discrimination, because kindness is not optional when you wear a uniform. As Mrs. Hayes stepped off the plane, the captain walked beside her, not as a pilot, but as a grateful student. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. She felt seen. The lesson? Never treat people badly because of appearance. Everyone deserves kindness. Drop a heart to honor every kind elderly person. They deserve the best. Follow for stories that make you rethink what matters.